topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Let's listen as Lorraine Lapointe, coach, therapist, educator, speaker, and founder of Head Heart Synergy, brings together another enlightened guest to inspire and motivate us to move forward, achieve our dreams and desires, so that we experience midlife awakening.
And I'm your host, Lorraine Lapointe. Today we'll enjoy another candid conversation that reveals how to bring back a sense of balance and how to find forward focus. Today, take just a few moments to join us as we explore the possibilities and the perspectives that provide us with greater inner peace, power, passion, and purpose. Because that's what I call living at the edge of fulfillment in a midlife awakening.
Well, hello and welcome. You know when you spend the whole day cleaning up the house and, you put stuff away and you pick up the bits and pieces, you clean out your drawers, you get rid of all that clutter and everything begins to sparkle. You dust, you vacuum, you wipe things and you feel so accomplished, right? Let me know in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. And it's kind of a pleasure. I mean, not that I like doing housework, but you feel good when it's done. But then the next day, as you get out of bed, your body starts aching and your muscles remind you that you did lots of work yesterday. That's the pain. So naturally, we as creatures avoid pain and we move towards pleasure. It's not like we have a choice. It's biological. It's one of those laws of nature. But today's show is about when pain feels good. And strangely enough, when it comes to pain and pleasure, human beings often walk a really fine line. In today's show, we welcome a guest who's been helping people navigate and resolve this pain-pleasure line for many years. She's been practicing as a Shiatsu practitioner. And for those who are unfamiliar with that type of body work, it includes reading the energy of the body as well as the physicality of the body. And it was actually through Shiatsu massage that I discovered that my body was not just there to move my head around, as I had thought for years. I discovered that my body is wise. It has all sorts of messages and all kinds of direction. All those aches and pains often mean something. And those who can read the body's energies and the meridians can help us to understand what needs to be shifted or transformed in our lives. A Shiatsu practitioner like today's guest can release pain and bring real pleasure. And as they bring your body into alignment, and I'm hoping that she'll talk more about that with us. And before we dive right into meeting our guest, and for those I haven't met before, I'm Lorraine Lapointe. You can think of me as a guide who helps people like you and I, mainly women entrepreneurs and others who have chosen to move past the pain of betrayal and other life events that we have survived. And we move into the pleasure of sharing our strengths, our gifts, and our talents as we live a more fulfilled and satisfied life in the second half of our life. And many know that I reach out through my company, Head Heart Synergy, to bring this program on the Women for Women network radio and talk for TV, as it provides inspiration and a safe and sacred space to explore different ways of living with greater peace, power, passion, and purpose. Because as we discover new possibilities and new perspectives, we more effectively help others and can have a greater impact in our world. And each week we broadcast to different social media platforms through this magical technology. And today, whether you're here live or you come across us at a later time, we invite you to engage and connect with us. So when you hear something that's conversational that you find, curious or that really resonates with you, be sure to let us know what that is. And you can use the comment or the chat section on whatever platform you're on right now at the moment. Because the more we get to know you, the better we can understand what inspires you, and we can offer more interesting and mindful ways to help you move forward towards fulfillment. So take a moment now to send an invitation and encourage your friends and your family to join us with this experience as we all share this episode of The Edge of Fulfillment. And we're here live on the Head Heart Synergy Facebook business page, or w4wn.com, or talk4tv.com. And I'm also grateful for producer Roxy's support as she keeps things on track for us, pulling up the comments on screen and queuing up your questions. And by the way, we love to answer your questions. So put a hashtag and the word question, and that helps us identify the questions that you want to ask to shape the program into something that's most interesting and enjoyable for you. And you're in the right place at the right time, because today we have another special contest with a draw for an Amazon gift card. And this one is sponsored by Art of Touch. So simply listen throughout our show. There'll be 5 special words. And at the end of the show, you'll be eligible to put those in the comments. And then we'll have a draw to see who wins. And today, I'm really pleased to announce that our winner from last week is Christine Economacos. And she has won. Good morning, Angeline. She has won the beautiful perfume made by last week's guest, Regina Gale. Congratulations, Christina. And I want to wish you a very happy birthday. So could you be the winner this week? Well, simply jot down the special words as they're announced, and remember to put them in the chat when asked at the end of the show. And you've already heard the very first word. And the very first word this week is body. So keep track of that one. Body is the first word. And it's so good to have you here on The Edge of Fulfillment every Friday at 10 a.m. on w4wn.com and talk4tv, because we're building a fun and interactive and engaging community of like-minded people in our Facebook group, Mindfully Moving Forward. So if you haven't joined us there yet, be sure not to miss that. All right. And I also want to thank you, our listeners and our viewers, for being here with us, either live or at some time in the future, because the show is intended to help you remember the lightness and the joy that existed before all that heavier, more serious stuff took hold of your life. Good morning, Christina. Congratulations. Many are looking into the future with a desire to develop greater mental fitness, self-awareness, and motivation. So your mission today, should you choose to accept it, is to listen for ideas and thoughts or feelings that inspire or motivate you to more easily share your gifts with the world. And we're going to take a little short break. Good morning. How are you, Leslie? Good to see you. We're going to take a little short break. And we'll be right back with The Edge of Fulfillment. We'll see you in a moment.
Did you know video is the future on content? There are 3 good reasons why video is the future of content. Number 1, videos are often more engaging than simple pictures or music alone. Number 2, it's much easier to tell your story through video. Number 3, because we love to watch video, they go viral much faster. Hey, notice you're still watching right now. See how well it works. Next time we can play your video here instead. Ask me how. Shine online on Talk4TV and W4WN Radio.
Hey, are you looking for a brighter future? Wishing for greater calm, clarity, and confidence? What if you knew an inside job was the answer? Your mission: stop the inner burn. Gain mental fitness so you get more out of life. Imagine in about 15 minutes a day for just 6 weeks. Come on, we'll show you how. Don't miss it. Just go to www.lorraine.gives/M-Fitness and join us right now.
Oh, welcome back. Let's do a quick recap in case you're just jumping on. Good morning, John. Good to see you. We're running a contest for an Amazon gift card sponsored by this week by Art of Touch, our guest's company. And we've already heard the first of our 5 special words. And just as a reminder, that first word was body. And so listen for the other words as we continue here on the Edge of Fulfillment on W4WN, the Women for Women Network. That's radio and talk for TV. And I am thrilled today to introduce, to find my words as well, our guest. She's been working with her own body and the bodies of others for more than 40 years. Her experience includes dance, ballet, sports, teaching others about their body. And she's learned various techniques from various traditions. She's highly aware of her own physicality, and she integrates her techniques every day. Well, she's been a Shiatsu therapist since 1992, I think it is, and she's done thousands of treatments, and she still loves what she does. Suzanne DeHart has some very interesting friends as well, and some connections who get physical in very interesting ways, and they enjoy exploring a world of both pain and pleasure with the dominatrix lifestyle. So perhaps she'll even talk a little bit about that too. So let's dive in and explore her story as we talk about Shiatsu, domination, a little fear and a little fearlessness. And thanks for being with us today, Suzanne.
Good morning. Nice for having me.
Good morning. I'm sure we've just piqued a lot of people's curiosity about that introduction. So I understand that you've been enjoying like body and mind connections and awareness for many years. Where would you like to begin telling us about that?
Well, it started a long time ago when I was living in Germany. I'm German, as you can hear. I can't do much about the accent.
I think it's beautiful accent. I love it. Go ahead.
So I always knew I wanted to become a ballet dancer. Like all girls want to be either stewardess or flight attendant, as it's now called, or ballet dancer. And I was one of the ballet dancers, but I lived in the countryside, so there was no way I could start getting lessons. So I had to wait until I actually was too old to start really getting into or even be professionally involved with it. So that was always on the side, but it's always was always a hard wish of mine. And so I decided I become teacher. That's my nature. I've always taught everyone in kindergarten what to do. And said, okay, we are playing this and that. So kind of my structure.
Oh, beautiful.
And I studied and became a teacher for ballet, for gymnastics and dance and physical education in the first place. But that was only the first milestone on a whole path of other things that came my way. So I dived into the free theater scene and did acting training, which involves a lot of techniques too that you have to learn. You have to express, you have to work with your physicality in another way. But so that was the next facet which added up. Then I had a serious accident and which threw me totally off. But when you said, okay, there's a little fearlessness, I mean, every bad situation can turn, or mostly turns out, has something good for you to offer. So as a result of that, I got the funds, and B, I knew what to do, and that was Shiatsu. So I studied that for 3.5 years, very intense in Hamburg. And besides having a conventional job, not a profession, but something that gave me the money to do what I really liked to do. That sometimes you have to work to do what you like to do.
Well, and to study 3.5 years, I mean, I don't have a huge background in Shiatsu, as I said, but it was Shiatsu that basically introduced me to my body. So I would imagine there's a lot to know about Shiatsu. And
they say they have the first thing is Shiatsu is not ancient. It's based on ancient insights. It's, for example, one part is traditional Chinese medicine. So let's say the Taoist understanding of the world and all appearances. And but the technique per se was developed in 1920s by Namikoshi and later by Masunaga, and it's a mingling between massage technique, which was mostly done by blind people. Which is very interesting, because I mean, the sensitivity of a blind person, if you ever have the chance to get a massage from a blind person, do it. It's really seeing with your eyes. So with your hands, I mean, with your hands and arms. So it mixed this with the traditional insights, with the insights of the TCM, and was already in the 50s or so an officially accepted alternative health method in Japan. Then it came over to the West, where it developed in its own branches, you could say. Because also the Western physiology and mindset is different, and as you can't separate mind and body, so the things had to be kind of the way how the treatment and how you deal with people is kind of different. I learned from a teacher. She went to the temple of Shiatsu in Tokyo and was so disappointed. It was so
and disappointed because it wasn't a big fancy temple, or
I mean, it was not a temple. It was the heart center, of Shiatsu, and my great teacher Masunaga was giving treatments there, and so it was just an ordinary, not too uplifted. And here in the West, we really pay attention to the accuracy and that there is no fold, no crease in the sheet, and so this all adds to the energy that helps.
So I would imagine the creases, or no creases in the sheet, because it's such an energy based massage. You want to feel the person's chi. You want to feel the person's energy in its purest form. You mentioned that you had a serious accident, and that changed things for you. Was that before you studied Shiatsu, or after?
No,
it was before.
Seriously, before. I mean, I broke my arm and I can't bend it anymore. And so that was it with trying to get into a professional dance theater career also after after the acting thing.
Yeah. So isn't it funny how these things happen to us, and at the time they're
Absolutely.
disastrous. I mean, to someone who wants an acting career or a dancing career, to break their arm, that's paramount to disaster. And yet, as you said, the universe often gives you gifts with these things, and the gift
Yes.
was the study of Shiatsu.
Yeah.
And
So,
changed your life path by the sound of it.
yes, they call it also Shiatsu because it's a path, and you can study books about Shiatsu, of massage, but you need to kind of absorb it and incorporate it. Like every professional knows that. I mean, it doesn't matter what kind you have to be really. You have to be one with it.
Yeah.
What you're doing, and that's something that you can't learn out of books. When you are lucky, you have good teachers like I had, and I was lucky because at that time there were hardly any European teachers around. So I got all the crème de la crème from Australia and England and from all over America. I also had a teacher which lives in Austin, Texas. Yeah.
I understand you spend a fair amount of time in Texas.
Yes, I did so far. It's not, kind of stranded there on a detour through 12 years of Holland, where I had my practice too. I was lived on an island in the North Sea and had my Shiatsu practice there, and also did massage things. So,
isn't it wonderful that you have this modality that you can take all over the world?
Yes,
absolutely. Choose where to live and serve people in that space.
Yes, and I must say that was also a humbling experience, because I was an immigrant and I didn't speak the language, and I had to start very basic with cleaning schools and so on. So that was that also left a mark on my development and on my set of mind.
When we were talking earlier, we were talking a little bit about the fear versus fearlessness piece. And I understand that with your associations of people who are in the business of working with fear and fearlessness, that, when you just said you arrived somewhere and you didn't have the language, that puts you in a state of, I don't know, did it put you in a state of fearfulness?
Fearfulness, no, because I'm actually lucky. I think fear is something very interesting to look at. And when I was contemplating what the edge of fulfillment and so on, and what we would maybe talk about, I was thinking exactly about this. I mean, you get a little nervous before something like an interview or so, and you could call that fear. But there's also the possibility, when you drop the fixation on I'm fearful, then you can just ride the energy. I mean, it's just heightened energy, so that's fun, actually.
Yeah. I sometimes talk to people about the difference between when they say I'm nervous versus I'm excited. If you say I'm nervous, it's anticipating that negative outcome, which gives you those butterflies and that not so nice feeling. Whereas if you say I'm excited,
exactly,
turn that energy around and become, and feel it in a whole different way. Now, in Shiatsu, is that the intent, is to find the areas of negativity and release them? Or what is the intention? How does that work?
You could imagine a system like, ideally we are very harmonic and a nice round ball. And you said you're doing Qigong and Tai Chi, so
Yeah.
you know about harmony.
Some days I know it better than others.
Yes. But ideally,
Yeah.
we are, our energy flows, all the organs, everything is in, how do you say, in flow.
Yes.
But then there are, what I said, fixations, either mental or physical. I mean, when I'm sitting like this all day, I'm kind of restraining the flow of energy.
Mm.
Or when I do this all the time, well, I'm kind of, my world gets. So that causes blockages. And the longer a blockage is in your system, the bigger the effect gets. So ideally, we are in a dynamic balance. You could say we have a bit of joy, a bit of not joy, a bit of sad. All the tastes, sweet, sour, salty, they are all there. But as soon as you get out of balance, you get stuck in one thing. And it pulls you down, down, down until you're really flat. Until you have to until you get really sick. So I would say the intention of Shiatsu is to recognize these blockages as soon as possible, and just get the energy back into the dynamic harmony, I would say.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is you. I don't know. Is that an English word? Prophylaxe. So you don't want to get ill. So you do something that you don't.
You don't preventative.
Prevention, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't only act when you're ill already. Just be clever and smart and start early. So do something that keeps the whole thing moving. And the body, what you said, the body has an enormous wisdom to adjust itself. So when we don't block, and that brings me back to the fearfulness, which is another thing that I learned throughout my many years of experience on many levels, is that the saying they have in Holland is, you have no, you can get yes. Or when you don't shoot, you always miss. So these are things that
makes sense.
Yeah. So in situation when I felt a certain hesitation to do something, and I think a lot of women have that on various levels, that they have the yes, but as soon as something like that appears in your mind, you actually should say, okay, 1, 2, 3, and I do it.
Yeah. Well, that's really what the show is about. It's for people who are standing on the edge of fulfillment. And I think we've all been there. And we look ahead and there's this feeling of, I know there's something I want to do, or you might even know what it is. But as you said, there's that fearfulness, there's that sense of hesitation. And really the joy exists beyond that hesitation and that willingness to step into it. And we had talked earlier about the dominatrix lifestyle of some of your friends, and I had asked about that. I had asked about, because that's something that I'm curious about, and I'm sure a lot of our guests are. It's that sense of, or is it that sense of stepping into something unknown?
Yes, of course. I mean, you might feel attracted to certain kinks or certain. We might have to talk about conventional and not so conventional.
Okay.
Life.
Yeah, because they call it a lifestyle, so that's probably a great thing to talk about at the beginning. And maybe what we'll do is take a little break, and then we'll talk about this as soon as we get back. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I'm
All right.
here.
So, stay tuned. You're listening to The Edge of Fulfillment on W4WN and Talk for TV. And we'll be right back.
Mental fitness, the missing X factor for enhancing performance, achievement, and success. Mental fitness empowers you with the magic of 3: stabilized mood, peace of mind, deeper relationships. Time to make it happen? Grow the self-command muscle. Intercept your self-defenses. Build your inner wisdom. In less than 15 minutes a day, gain the missing X factor. Let me show you how.
And welcome back. I'm so thrilled to be talking with our guest today, Suzanne DeHart. And I've been so fixated on what you've been saying, Suzanne, that I have forgotten that you have actually mentioned a couple more of our special words. So you heard the word body. You've also talked about the mind. So mind is our second word. And be listening for the third one, because I will release that in a moment. You've already heard it, but you were mentioning just before we went to break that one of the things that we could talk about was conventional versus kink. And I'm curious as to hear what the definitions are so that our listeners understand the difference.
Okay. Actually, I would say conventional versus unconventional.
Okay. That's the perfect juxtaposition, certainly.
Yeah, and under the unconventional, there might be the possibility of kink, which is seen in from the eyes of conventional eyes as something different.
Outside of the comfort zone.
Yeah. Or something which is you have kink. I would define as something like, or what is the word for that? Something that you really like, which is not very common. Would that be?
Yeah, that sounds like the perfect description. Yeah. And does it have to do with that fear and fearlessness that we were talking about before, in terms of, or is it just preference?
I think they're talking about. It doesn't have much to do with fear. I mean, when you, that's not true. You might have a certain like, I guess, that, for example, you like to be tied up in your normal habitual sexual life, and the fear to communicate that, for example, to your partner. Of course, that has definitely something to do with fear. There's a lot of relationships where there are hidden desires. Yeah, taboo. It's
that's right, John. Taboo. Yeah.
Yeah, and it has to do with communication. And in a lot of relationships, there is one partner who has special likes, which he wants to live or encounter, and it's impossible to communicate that. There is, of course, fear of that your partner says, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" But there is also the chance that they say, "Oh, I'm so glad you have that because I do this and that." I like to experience or experiment with that facet. So, of course, it has to do with fear and fearlessness. And I would say again, there's the possibility you can ride that, and when you don't shoot, you always miss.
Yeah. Oh, then
50 Shades of
John
Grey
mentioned
book.
happy 10th anniversary of the 50 Shades of Grey book. Yeah, the 50 Shades of Grey book really opened a lot of people into like a peek into the unconventional, and brought the unconventional into somewhat mainstream. So more people, as you said, were able to get past their fears and talk to their partners about what it is that perhaps they'd like to try or experience or see what worked for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I wonder if that helps in the alignment of the body and the connection to Shiatsu, because I would think that if there is something in the body that you really want to experience and you keep that hidden, how does that show up in the body?
Oh, in a lot of facets. I mean, when you are not really connected to your lower part of the body, you create all kinds of messes.
Yeah,
seriously. It's a daily practice that a lot of women are not familiar with their own bodies, to put it very simple. And that means that also they are not familiar with their likes, and they are unable to communicate their dislikes, for example. So there is still a lot of work that needs to be done, just saying.
Yeah, and I mean the root chakra, which is the lower part, the genitalia part where that root chakra is. Yeah, I mean it is a driving force. One of the things in Tai Chi is called the Dantian, and the Dantian is the powerhouse. It's the driving force, the energy of your life, and it is located just in the area just above your pubic area. And a lot of people aren't even aware that that is their body's powerhouse, power center. And I would agree that there are many women out there who haven't had the encouragement to explore themselves.
Yes, that I absolutely agree. And everything that, I mean, now we are talking sexuality, right?
Yeah, which I think we're allowed to on the radio, but we'll do it anyway. We'll worry about it later.
No, clearly, I mean, there is it's still, certainly in the United States, there is a lot of needs a lot of work to be done. I find the discrepancy with how the connection to body here in the US is like that. So what's wrong with that? And I discovered it comes obviously from the British Puritanism, which started the whole thing. So that it's still in the mainstream, kind of, that body is blah or nakedness is ooh, and it's so deeply ingrained. So kind of what you just say, you are not connected to it. In Japan, it's called the hara. So it's four fingers below your navel, and all the martial arts and everything is aimed to strengthen that, because that is your powerhouse. This is also the heaviest part of your body. When that is not strong, you are like poop. You're like something comes and you are swept away. Yeah. So being grounded and being in your lower chakra is the first thing you have to accomplish.
So, do you have any advice for women out there who are maybe listening and saying, wait a minute, that's me. I'm disconnected from my body. I don't really know what's below the neck.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for them?
Dancing. Serious. I mean, and preferably when you want to get down there, African dance, everything that's down there.
Yeah, well, that rhythmic too, that sense of rhythm, and I know that John is here listening, and he's a DJ, and one of the things that he talks about is the beats per minute, and how there's a natural rhythm we all have.
Yes.
And as you pointed out, African music has that beat, has that driving force. In some cases, media, doctrine, upbringing doesn't help. Well, I'm British. My background is British, and like I said, for years I thought my body was just to move my head around like that. I had no.
But how comes that the British are so kinky?
Well, there's a good question. Because some of the dominatrix pieces and the kink pieces actually come from Britain.
You would say so. I mean, the toss is Scottish, right?
Yes. So there's that duality again that we were talking about, that fear, that fearlessness, that conventional versus unconventional. There's really this duality going on.
I must say the funniest thing I saw was in a British movie where there was an older woman and there was a younger woman. It was a detective kind of, and the detective came in and asked who is who, and says, I am Mrs. So-and-so, and this is the mistress of my husband.
Very unusual situation.
Yeah, but I mean, mistress or dominatrix.
Dominatrix. Yes. Well, and I think there's a fallacy. I think that people think that dominatrix is all about sex, and I don't believe that's true, is it?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, it's the classical dominatrix that has nothing to do with. It has to do everything to do with sexuality, but not with sex. There's a big difference, right?
And when you say that, perhaps for some of our listeners, this is my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong. But when you talk about sexuality, you talk about intercourse versus sexuality being the whole body. I mean, your ears, your neck, your other parts of your body are sexual, or like can be part of sexuality. It's not just intercourse.
No. And it has a lot to do with pain, for example.
Please say more.
Yeah, because in my experience, this is where pain and pleasure go together. What I see from my experience, we have to tap into pain to release this block, to come back to the Shiatsu. And one way or the other, let's say pain is like a little frozen block in your energy field. And we have a lot of it. So it's all this, you could say, okay, your system is blocked and your meridians are blocked. But to put it in a different picture, it's like little frozen energy blocks. And the work of a good therapist or a good dominatrix, in my understanding, is to tap into these little frozen blocks and release the energy which is stuck there, which makes you more whole and more liquid, more fluent, more able to handle your life. When you're like this is difficult to get around. The more you are
flexible.
Yeah, not flexible, but when there's not such a strict,
rigid
border around you, when you're more, how do you call it, like like osmosis, you have something semi-permeable, permeable.
Yeah.
Permeable. So when your when these blocks are frozen, you're much more permeable. So things get in and out, and you're communicating on all levels. So this is why it is so important to, thank you, fluid and alive, exactly.
Fluid and alive. Thank you.
This is where you have to tap into these patterns of pain. And Shiatsu can be painful, like a good massage. So it's good pain. And sometimes, I mean, a good slap on the butt is also a very good pain.
And at the top of the show, I was talking about, that we sometimes the pain pleasure line is sometimes,
yes,
it blends.
It absolutely blends.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for letting us know. One of the things that my viewers and listeners love to do is have an oracle card pulled. And I just noticed that we're running really out of time today because this has been a fascinating conversation. Are you willing to do that? I'll shuffle the cards.
Okay.
All right. And then we'll see what comes up. So you just tell me when to stop and
when.
Okay. And the card, I don't know if you can see that. It's a powerful move. So let's find out what a powerful move is all about. Well, we were just talking about movement.
And we were talking about powerhouse, and we were talking about to get over the edge.
Yeah. So change is in the air. Well,
please.
This is a powerful time when deliberate action is needed. You are a mighty co-creator. Step into your power and see your intentions manifest in the world. Start first with the way that you think. And it's funny that it says that because that's what we were talking about, conventional and unconventional. Start first with what you think. Discover new things instead of confirming your past expectations.
That's the flexibility. The fixation. What I said. When you're fixated.
It says, act with thoughtfulness, awareness, and remember to be true to what's within yourself. I said this last week. I'm always blown away. I mean, I shouldn't be blown away because the cards are always spot on, but that is just so aligned with what we were just.
Yeah, that's when you are semi-permeable.
Absolutely.
You're in sync. That's the word.
We are. Yes, exactly. And, I have been not in sync with my viewers and listeners because I have not given them the other words. So I'm going to give you all 5 words and go ahead and put them in the chat for this week because we'd love to have you be eligible. So the 5 words are, and we have heard these: body, mind, awareness, touch, and intention. So those are the 5 words that please put them in the chat: body, mind, awareness, touch, and intention. And I'd love to give you we've got about 30 seconds left. So is there anything, Suzanne, I feel like I could talk to you all day, but is there anything that you would like to say to our viewers, to let our viewers know, or how can they perhaps get in contact with you if they'd like to talk to you some more?
When they go on my website, there is an email address, and I love to communicate. And if they have questions, I'm happy to help in which way is ever beneficial.
Awesome. And that's art of touch -Kingwood for those who are on the radio and not able to see it. I have to remember that we are on W4WN, which is radio, as well as the talk for TV. So I want to say thank you so much, Suzanne. It's been such a pleasure talking with you today.
Me too.
And I wish to invite our listeners and watchers to join other like-minded people like us in the Facebook group called Mindfully Moving Forward. And remember to drop those 5 special words that you've heard into the chat where you are, or by all means, you can email them to me at support@headheartsynergy.com. Just put the word contest in the subject line so I don't miss any of your entries. And we will add you in to the draw. And at this point, unfortunately, our show is winding down. So this is your host, Lorraine Lapointe, and I'm reminding you that you are at the edge of fulfillment, and at the edge, there's a choice.
Yep.
You can stay on the edge, getting what you've always got, or you can become a little courageous and move beyond the edge to get what you really want. And we talked a little about that in the show. So we'll
get
see.
Beyond the butt.
Yes, a smack on the butt might just do it. Thanks, Suzanne. All right.
Thank you very much, Lorraine.
See you next week, everyone. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Bye.